clearly wanted to try to get those guys. The thing for us is we're very happy with the guys that we got. There's so many needs on our team that we still filled a lot of needs, and it's going to take another couple of years to fill every need on the team. So, we're happy. We're not complaining about any of the 25 guys that we signed here today, and especially up front.
How do you feel about Windsor? What did you guys like about him to bring him in late?
He's big. His athleticism. He plays tough with a motor. He gets after. He plays like our wild dogs are expected to play. So we feel like he'll fit in really well with those guys.
Linebackers. Can you talk about the guys you brought in there and what you feel they add to the group you already have?
Daquan Kelly and Manny Bowen. Those guys are extremely athletic. You're looking for that outside backer that's kind of that hybrid guy that you don't have to substitute a nickel back to cover a guy. Yet you need a guy that can still go down in the box and tackle, and we feel those guys have a chance to be those guys. So hopefully they can fit that role when they come in.
Jake Cooper more of a throwback guy?
Cooper's throwback. He's the guy that could have played with me at Penn State years ago. He's physical guy. He's tough as nails. He's going to be an inside the box guy, and he'll be a downhill plugger for us.
Terry, how much flexibility, versatility do you have with some of these guys on defense? So guys who could maybe grow into be linebackers or play safety or that hybrid position?
Well, there's a lot of flexibility. We signed 3 safeties. We have those guys on the outside. And only time will tell whether they fit the system in that way. The beauty of what Coach Shute does with us defensively is he adjusts our defense to the personnel. So we don't try to fit them into a scheme that we're already running. We're going to adjust to what our personnel strengths are, and that's what we'll do this summer.
Coach Franklin gave you a lot of credit for recruiting in Western PA. What went into the success you guys had over there?
Well, like Coach Franklin said, he made it urgent. He made it important. In his opening statement of when he first got hired, he said he wanted to dominate the state, and we made it a point of emphasis. We got in there. We were continuing to build and mend relationships there in Western Pennsylvania, and for the most part, we got the kids we wanted.
How much of a relief was it to dominate the state and have that nothing could go wrong today?
It's a great relief. It's when Penn State was at the top, they dominated the state, and hopefully we're on our way back to the top.
Hey, Terry, with Gibbons, can you talk about maybe his unique athleticism concerning his build and all that stuff, where you see him playing out?
We're going to bring him in at the defensive end position. Sometimes guys will grow, sometimes they'll stay the same, so we're not sure if he'll grow into a tackle or not, but he's going to start out at the defensive end. Extremely athletic, has a great motor. We had some comparisons to Aaron Donald. I coached against Aaron Donald and when I was in high school coaching, and he's got an athleticism frame like him. So, we hope he brings that motor and that athleticism to get after it and cause a lot of havoc up front.
Why not earlier go after him? Is there something maybe that you wasn't
Well, we didn't have the scholarships, and when it came down to it was, his height was kind of a factor, but it wasn't, but it was, if that makes sense. But then once we realized we did have scholarships, it was a no-brainer at that point.
How much of a push, was there in that, once you kind of figure out those numbers are there for you?
Once the numbers were there, it was no-brainer. It wasn't even a discussion. It was like, let's go get them.
Jarvis Miller's a guy who might get forgotten about a little bit because he's committed almost a year ago. How do you project him to grow? What do you see in him? And I hear he has a martial arts background.
Yeah, Jarvis was our first commit. He was the one that kind of helped mend the fence with all these guys that committed and kept them together. Extremely athletic, extremely long, extremely talented. And yes, he has a martial artist background. His dad taught him. His dad's the one that's a state trooper and the expert in martial arts. So he competed on a national level with that. And he'll bring that athleticism and that background and training to us. But we expect for him to have a great impact on us immediately. He's extremely smart. So we feel he'll pick the system up, and that's the half the battle for these guys when they first get in. It's not the athleticism; it's can they pick up the system and play fast in the system.
His versatility, what does that allow you guys to do as far as position?
Yeah, he could play either the strong or the free, and his frame, who knows, he may end up growing into that outside backer spot as well. So time will tell on that, but he's going to start in the back end, and he can play the free or the strong, so it makes us interchangeable where we don't have to rotate by hash.
You guys have had a run of defensive backs since you arrived. Where are you at now as compared to where you were at on the roster in terms of length, speed, athleticism? I know that's been an emphasis for you guys.
We are a lot deeper at the defensive backfield from a year ago. We've got a lot more depth. We've added tremendous length with guys like Garrett Taylor and Jarvis, and those guys are really, really long guys, and length is the new term for what guys are looking for on the back end, and we've added a lot of that. We've added a lot of athleticism, so guys like John Reed will come in and compete right away. He's a study hard for the game. He loves the game, and we're expecting him to be a contributor as well.
Hey, Terry, what is the next step in recruiting? This class was, very good. What do you guys see as next year, the next step forward?
Well, clearly we want to have the #1 recruiting class. I think one rating had us 9, the others had us 14. We want to be the unanimous #1 recruiting class. So, we're going to go after better players. We're going to raise the bar. We're going to each year try to out-recruit our last class or our last athlete, and we got to get even better players.
Kind of going off of that, you talk about getting the #1 class. How do you balance, we want to dominate Pennsylvania, so to speak, and get guys out of this state, but acknowledging that maybe these guys that you have to do those, achieve those goals, maybe fall outside the region, outside those borders?
Well, we still want to dominate our state. Our state produces some of those top-end guys, so we want to continue to get those guys. And then when you look into the region, there's several 5-star guys in the region. We want to get all of those guys, so we want to make sure all those guys in the region, we take care of those guys. And then, like Coach said, we'll go nationally to get any kid. So we're going to make it an emphasis to get the very best at each position. But we want to make sure our top-end kids from the region will stay home.
And how important was it for you guys as a staff when you say that you want to dominate the state and then you're able to execute? Is there an added emphasis that first year when you're on the trail for a whole year to be able to come back and say, look what we did what we said we're going to do?
Well, it proves that what our plan was worked. Now we want to make sure we execute it again. We don't want to forget about our home state. We want to still dominate Pennsylvania and then dominate the region, and then supplement it by going outside of that to get the high-end player, to get the 5-star player, the difference-maker player at each position.
To follow up on that, how easy would you have success in an area of the state? Does it make it in the future to continue to have that success that you're maybe established there, people maybe know you a little bit better?
Well, it's not easy, but it helps us build relationships where we can come back and it's a long-term process. So, as we recruit these guys now, in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, these guys have to show the fruits of the labor and be on the field performing. So it'll really make a difference 2, 3 years from now when they actually see these guys on the field performing.